We start with the MVP award. And all odds courtesy of our friends over at Caesars. Josh Allen, I mean, it's pretty crazy, but it's not that insane, is the favorite over Patrick Mahomes at 7-1. Mahomes, 7.5-1. Tom Brady, your third favorite at 9-1. The reigning two-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers, a disrespectful 10-1. Justin Herbert, 12. Joe Burrow, 13. Newly minted Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson checks in at 16-1, along with Matthew Stafford. They'll play, by the way, on Christmas Day on CBS and Paramount Plus. And then we get into the 20s with Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson. So, Sully, I think when we say top pick, what we're saying is, like, I think we're saying who is your favorite out of, or who, like, our editors call you up and say, Sully, we need your pick for MVP for the season. Who are you picking? Like, who do you believe will win MVP in 2022? Not necessarily like who's your favorite long shot. Who do you believe will win MVP in 2022 as we stand here in May?
Yeah, it's a good question, and when you frame it that way, because again, you can love a value, and you can invest more heavily in those because you might feel like that's a better bang for your buck. But then again, you still have to have those realistic ones, and Josh Allen certainly up there. But for me, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's still the guy for me that I'm looking at to say, okay, he's arguably the number one, number two quarterback in the NFL. I'm not putting him much further down that list than that, and I think the storyline's there for him all off season. It's been about this arms race in the AFC West with all of these teams loading up, adding talent, and the Chiefs have been the team that have lost talent. They've lost Tyreek Hill, and how is that going to look for this offense with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? And if all of a sudden Mahomes continues to look like Patrick Mahomes with his new cast of characters, they still win the division, he puts up Mahomes-like numbers, I don't know how the storyline doesn't back up an MVP voting for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all. I don't know. Like, I think if you go with Mahomes for MVP in 2022, you'll probably be a little bit contrarian in the sense that I expect a lot of Josh Allen MVP picks.
Yeah.
RJ White was on the pod and pointed out, was it you? You're on with him, right?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, there's a great point, Sully, that you may not have heard. You and I talked with RJ White about this, but the change in offensive coordinator is definitely at least a reason to be worried about the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen can win MVP regardless of who's calling the plays, but you probably need to have 14 wins. You probably have to have the 1 seed in the AFC. You have to have a monster season. All that could happen, but I don't know that I'd want to bet. I would rather bet Mahomes at 7.5-1 than Allen at 7-1, because I think the narrative surrounding Mahomes, as you point out, if he has a bonker season, which he has certainly been known to do, then he can easily win MVP. And we've usually seen him about 5-1, even though he hasn't really been involved in the race in recent years. I'm going to say, let's look. I think keep it inside of 20-1, like less than 20-1 for your pick. I mean, if you firmly believe that Derek Carr is going to win MVP, by all means, go for it. But I will say that Matthew Stafford is going to be my pick for MVP at 16-1. I know they just won the Super Bowl. He didn't win Super Bowl MVP. Did he win Super Bowl MVP?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp did, yeah. So he's got that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
In all seriousness,
Cooper Kupp? I believe it was Cooper Kupp.
It was Cooper Kupp, yeah.
Yeah. I was mad because I had Aaron Donald as the MVP.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. That was annoying. And he definitely could have won. So, I sort of think people are sleeping on the fact that Stafford had, I don't know, a pretty huge season last year. He threw for 4,886 yards, 41 passing touchdowns. And yes, he led the league with 17 interceptions, but he also completed 67.2% of his passes. I mean, this was by far the best season of his career. You could maybe argue the 10-6 season with the Lions in 2011 when he had 5,000 passing yards and 41 passing touchdowns. But I just think the way that it went down was the best season of his career. And I don't think, they won the Super Bowl. I don't think many people would argue with it. And now he's going into the second season with Sean McVay. They lose Andrew Whitworth. You're not going to have Robert Woods. You're not going to have Odell Beckham, but you sign Allen Robinson. Kupp is back. There are plenty of weapons on that offense. And, I just think there's a chance that he has an even bigger year maybe a more efficient year with the same big numbers. And 16-1 is a pretty good value for a guy who is very likely going to be one of the top 2 or 3 seeds, worst case, in the NFC. So I'll take Stafford as my homer pick there. What about your value play? Say anybody 20-1 or more, because I think at this point they've, these, we talk about this all the time, but these odds are these are actually not bad for MVP right now. Usually they're much more condensed. Anyway, your value play at 20-1 or greater.
I love the Stafford one, by the way. I just think that's, great value there too. Even though, it's under 20-1, still great value for a guy that won a Super Bowl going into that second year. I love that pick.
And you and I both picked, I think, the Rams as like the best value play to win the NFC, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then for me, though, the value pick too, and I know Debo's going to like this, is Jalen Hurts, 40-1. For me, he's going into his second full season as the full-time starter. They just loaded up offensively by acquiring A.J. Brown. It's his second year in the system under Nick Sirianni. It feels, and plus they have a very easy schedule. It feels like that is a great narrative that we're pushing here, because if they all of a sudden contend in the NFCs, win that division, remember, they have a very easy schedule in terms of, the win-loss records. When you look at the strength of schedule that way, Sharp Football kind of broke that down. The Philadelphia Eagles have a very easy schedule this coming season. If he puts up monster numbers, and you also account for his rushing statistics, to me, he's going to have a compelling case if he lives up to his potential there in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I love Hurts at 40-1 there. I just want to point, and just on Hurts, the one thing that, and I harped on this a lot last year, and I guess I'm hypocritical for harping on it and now being like, I'm an Eagles fan. But I mean, a lot of games Hurts would end up with like 30 fantasy points. You're like, you played like crap. What just happened there? But if they win a bunch of games and he's efficient and he's rushing and he improves his passing metrics, I mean, 40-1 is not crazy at all, especially if the Eagles are really good on the defensive line and really good on the offensive line. I mean, they got players, a couple of guys take a leap forward in that offense, and not crazy at all.
I mean, you're not talking only about A.J. Brown, but you have Devontae Smith going into year 2. You have Miles Sanders hopefully being healthy this season. There are pieces in Dallas Goedert as a tight end receiving option there as well. There are plenty of options for him in the passing game. It's just been about more consistency. I mean, this is, again, it's a 40-1 MVP type of shot here. It's not like it's a layup, but by any means. But this is a very interesting year for him. It is, can you be that franchise guy? Can you be the guy that they can continue to build around over the next few years here? You're, with this pick, clearly reaching for the ceiling in that regard, but we've seen it before. Rushing quarterbacks can find success. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he had an insane passing season during that MVP season. What was that, 2020 or 2019 or whatever it was? But could Jalen Hurts have something along those lines? It wouldn't totally surprise me. I don't think it would totally come out of left field at all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people get too caught up in because of the last few years with Mahomes and the Lamar Jackson. It's like, oh, it's got to be a second-year quarterback who has this big season. Well, third-year quarterback can do it too. Like, it doesn't, Kyler Murray is at least a name I think to watch. He wouldn't be my value pick, but the fact that I'm very surprised that Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, and Lamar Jackson are north of 20-1. And I think Lamar Jackson is my pick for the value play. I know, like, I guess I'm a little cheating here because I'm taking the 20-1. But I went Stafford, so I think he evens himself out.
Yeah.
Lamar's won the MVP before. The Ravens are going to get positive injury regression. He's playing for a contract. I think he should be really more like 15-1 or 12-1 in that same range as Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson. Like, I think it's a little disrespectful. So I would say that Lamar is a value play at 20-1. And then I want to point out that Cooper Kupp, don't bet that at 50-1. Derrick Henry, don't bet that at 50-1. Jonathan Taylor, don't bet that at 50-1. Trey Lance at 60-1. No, I don't think so. But Matt Ryan at 60-1. Oh, I can be talked into that.
For sure.
If they fix that left tackle spot and he has a really efficient, insane season where he's putting up numbers, they add maybe a Julio or another wide receiver, he posts big numbers. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. Not in that offense, not with the way that they want to play. But, I mean, if he's hitting a bunch of deep shots to Michael Pittman and the Colts win 12, 13, 14 games and people say, wow, his value over Carson Wentz is that big, let's give this guy some love. So I think 60-1 is worth a little nibble there on Matt Ryan. And I just want to point out, for the sake of dunking on everyone's favorite clown show, everyone's favorite commando, Carson Wentz, that he is 125-1, which is the same odds as Baker Mayfield. Oh! Daniel Jones, 150 to 1. Jameis Winston, 150 to 1. I will only do quarterbacks. I refuse to discuss anybody else. Jimmy Garoppolo and Sam Darnold, 150 to 1. Teddy Bridgewater, my God, this is a sad state of affairs. Is there anybody? I mean, Jared Goff, 200 to 1 that's a bridge too far, right?
Yeah, it's
Justin Fields.
I looked at him, but man,
there's just nothing there. There's nothing. It would literally take a Herculean MVP, something we've never seen performance from him to even be in that conversation. I guess that if they contend, then sure, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people. I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was Sam Monson at PFF. It was definitely like a Twitter convo, but it's like, are we sure does the current Bears regime actually believe in Justin Fields? Because their actions this offseason would lead you to believe they have no interest in helping Justin Fields because they're not putting anything around him. So, yeah, I mean, like Debo, the number is so long of those, of the guys at the 125 or worse, Fields would be the guy I would bet on probably. But yeah, I mean, I guess Zach Wilson, maybe. I mean, just can't. I mean, we're just throwing money away.
I almost feel like I'd rather do Zach Wilson than
I might really
at this
do Zach
point.
Wilson.
When you're talking about the surrounding casts,
like if Zach Wilson just took this huge leap and he has all these pieces around him, and the Jets win the division, if the Jets win the division, like he's gonna get some buzz for it.
Yeah, for sure.